Alright, what's going on, guys? So in this video we're going to talk about how to do a proper lean bulk. So right now it's winter, it's a perfect time to hop on a lean bulk and start prioritizing size and strength. We're all clothed up during this time of the year, so it makes sense to put on that size and put on that strength. So in the summer you can worry about being more lean, having the cuts and everything, but during the winter, during the fall, it's a perfect time to start bulking and putting on size. So first thing to note when it comes to how to properly lean bulk is that, the word lean bulk is actually a misleading term, because the fact of the matter is that if you want to actually put on a significant chunk of size and strength as a natural lifter, you're going to have to accept some fat gain, and that's what no one tells you. If you can, if you see people packing on tons of size and strength staying shredded, it's a clear sign of drug use. But when you're a natural lifter and you're out of the beginner stage, you need to put on a little bit of fat with the muscle that you gain if you want to gain muscle at the quickest rate possible. So when it comes to that, you need to really accept some fat gain, because it's going to allow you to gain muscle at a much quicker rate, and you're going to be able to consistently pack on size and muscle throughout the entire duration of your lean bulk. So when it comes to the duration in which you want to bulk, and if you've watched any of my other videos, you know that I promote the rule that I created, which is called the 9-3 rule. So it's especially for people who are beginning and not advanced lifters, you want to spend at least 9 to 10 months of the year bulking each year, and then you want to follow that up with 2 to 3 months of cutting. So that's why it's called the 9-3 rule. So until you've bulked for 9 months, you don't even want to think about cutting. So bulk 9 months and then cut for 3 months. That's a perfect kind of duration to enable you to pack on muscle and reach your genetic muscular potential as fast as possible, because that's really what the goal is. You want to maximize your muscle mass potential as quickly as possible. And if you're always worrying about staying shredded and cutting, then that's never going to happen. So that's a perfect rule to prioritize bulking, which should be your priority as a natural lifter if you want to build a great physique. Because staying shredded, you're always going to be small. You need to go through periods where you're packing on some size, gaining a little bit of fat. You don't need to get fat. Accepting a little bit of fat gain with the muscle is going to allow the process to be a lot quicker. So that's it for duration. The minimum amount of time you want to bulk for is 6 months. Anything less than that, it's not worth it. You're not going to be able to put on significant amounts of size and strength in that time period. So anywhere from 6 to 10 months is perfect for lean bulking. And as I said, if you live in a cold climate like here in Ottawa, it makes sense to bulk for the majority of the year. I'm not taking my shirt off. It makes sense to put on the size and strength, especially in the fall and the winter. So when it comes to setting your calories and your macros, nutrition is very simple, because if you watch my previous video, why you shouldn't diet and what to do instead, you know that dieting and nutrition is actually very, very simple. It does not need to be restrictive, and it doesn't need to be very militant. It all comes down to principles. So if you're hitting the right calorie intake and you're getting enough protein and you're eating a whole foods diet, you're eating nutritious foods to fuel your body and get enough micronutrients, then you're fine. Too many people worry about the macro split and all of these little things that make no difference in the grand scheme of things. So what you really want to focus on is finding that calorie intake, which is very simple. First, you need to find your maintenance intake, which is going to be somewhere between 14 to 16 calories per pound of body weight. So what you want to do is you want to start somewhere there. If you're less active, start with 14. If you're more active, maybe you have a laborious job, start with 16. And then what you're going to want to do is track your calorie intake, and then track the scale. Watch your weight over the period of a few weeks. If you stay around the same level, then you found your maintenance. And you want to do that until you've found the calorie intake that allows you to stay at a steady weight. And once you've done that, you've found your calorie intake, and I recommend adding 300 calories to that number. That's the perfect calorie surplus. That's going to allow you to pack on significant amounts of muscle and strength, but without getting too fat. So 300 is kind of that sweet spot. Anything less than 300, you're not even going to be able to know really if you're in a calorie surplus or not. That's one of the main things. If you're trying to hit this like 100 to 200 calorie surplus, you're not even going to know really for sure that you're in a calorie surplus, because let's face it, tracking, even if you're tracking everything, you're weighing everything, it's still going to be off. It's impossible to know exactly how many calories you're eating. So it's kind of an assurance policy to be able to, 300 calories in excess is kind of an assurance policy to know that you're in a calorie surplus. So that's really all it comes down to. And when it comes to macros, you just want to get enough protein, and then predominantly fill your diet with carbohydrates. So Too many people try to, you know, eliminate fat because they think that it's going to stop them from gaining body fat, but that's wrong. Everything is numbers. It's numbers in, numbers out, calories in, calories out. So if you're eating at the right calorie surplus and you're getting a balance of all the macronutrients, you're not going to gain too much fat. So what you really want to do is get a nice balance. Make sure you're eating enough protein for muscle growth, which is about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. And then once you've done that, you want to get the predominantly carbs and get some fats as well. So just get a balance, but don't track it. There's absolutely no need to track your macros. Just make sure you're hitting the right calorie number, and then you're eating enough protein, which, as I said, is 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So that's really all it comes down to for nutrition. And as I said, you want to fill your diet with nutritious, micronutrient dense foods. So I actually believe in prioritizing micronutrients over the macronutrients. Macronutrients make very little difference, but when it comes to recovery, when it comes to your health and just your well-being, energy, focus in general, micronutrients, putting an emphasis on getting enough micronutrients is way more important than macronutrients. Stop focusing so much on macros, kind of just let that fall where it falls. And if you're eating a whole foods diet, you're naturally going to get a nice balance of all the macronutrients. So I like to fill my diet with plenty of lean meats, you know, Greek yogurt, eggs, you know, cheese, rice, potatoes, all those good things, fruits, tons of vegetables. If you're eating a diet consisting of those kinds of foods, you're not going to be missing out on any micronutrients and macronutrients. Everything's kind of just going to work itself out. So predominantly focus on getting enough calories, which as I said, find your maintenance calorie intake and then add 300. Get about 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight in protein, and then fill your diet with whole nutritious foods. And you don't need to be super strict. So if you're someone who has a hard time, you know, eating enough, and you classify yourself as a hard gainer, then it'll help you to actually, you know, embrace some balance. And if you have a hard time, you know, like if you have a hard time getting your calories from your normal meals, then, you know, adding some like cereal or toast and butter or something at night is not going to hurt you. It's going to help you. So make hitting your calories the priority. If you're someone with a small appetite, then don't be afraid to add in certain foods that are going to allow you to hit that calorie intake, because that's what's going to be most important. And especially if you make them come from carbs, it's going to benefit your training as a whole, because it's going to keep your glycogen stores topped off, and it's going to benefit your sleep, your rest, your recovery, and it's going to allow you to crush personal records in the gym. So that's as far as it goes for nutrition. It's very, very, very simple. And as far as meals go, you know, whatever suits your lifestyle best, honestly, it's about the principles, as I said. So as long as you're getting enough calories, you're eating, you know, micronutrient dense foods, you're getting enough protein, then you can structure your diet however the fuck you want. It really doesn't matter. You can have, you know, 3 meals per day, 4 meals per day, 2 meals per day. If you're someone who like really, you know, cares about maximizing things, you know, there's some reason to believe maybe, you know, like no less than 3 meals per day would be optimal, but it's not really going to make that much of a difference. If you can only have 2 meals a day, then go for it. But, you know, I personally do about 3 meals per day with some little snacks in between just to hit my calories, because sometimes you don't want to have to be like at the end of your day and have to eat like a shitload of calories and feel sick from how full you are. So I like to spread my meals out throughout the day. So that's as far as it goes for nutrition. And when it comes to training, guys, training is very simple. If you watch any of my other videos, you know my training philosophy basically revolves around a low volume, low frequency, high intensity approach in where you pick a handful of core lifts. You know, what I recommend is the squat, the bench press, deadlift, overhead press, weighted pull-ups, and rows. Those are the best movements that are going to really pack on that mass and build your strength. So when it comes to training, it's literally just about having those handful of core basic lifts and getting stronger at them. And the best way to do that is to follow a lower volume, lower frequency approach in which you're only training 2 to 3 days per week, while bringing really high intensity and pushing for personal records. So as long as you're prioritizing big compound lifts and you're really training with intensity, you're training hard, you're focused on getting stronger, you're going to be getting bigger. So too many people think that just because they're in a calorie surplus, they're bulking, that they need to add a ton of volume, but it's going to make you stagnate. Too much volume is actually, you know, it's going to be detrimental to your gains, because it's going to mess with your recovery. And as a natural lifter, your recovery ability is limited, and you need to put it towards getting strong at the big core basic lifts. That's what's going to build your physique. So don't worry too much about, you know, small exercises. Really focus on getting strong at the big core compound lifts. That's what's going to build your physique. So you wanna focus on each month adding a bit of strength to that. It really depends on where you are in your lifting. If you're a beginner, then you're gonna be able to add more. If you're an intermediate, it's gonna slow down a little bit. And when you're an advanced lifter, the strength is gonna be slow. But you want to express patience. Less is more when you're a natural lifter. And always be patient when adding weight to the bar. There's no rush to be gaining a shitload of strength, but as long as you're seeing your key lifts slowly increase in strength, then you're doing things right. If you don't see any strength gains in your big core lifts, then something's wrong. You're probably doing too much training, too much volume, too much frequency. You're in the gym way too much. So it's really about embracing that lower training frequency, lower volume, prioritizing the big core lifts, training them with intensity, prioritizing your recovery, and focusing on hitting personal records. So really, I'm gonna emphasize this, prioritize your recovery. If you're not recovered, take more time to rest, guys. Always rest more. Rest is the most important. So especially when you're drug-free, if you're training hard, then you're gonna need to rest properly in order to come back and get stronger. So that brings me to the next point is that you're gonna wanna optimize your sleep. So no one in the fitness industry everyone's all about the training, the nutrition, but no one talks about sleep. But if sleep is that glue, if your sleep's not on point, then your training nutrition doesn't mean shit. I can assure you of that. So make sure you're sleeping 8 to 9 hours per night. That's what's going to allow you to grow, come back stronger, and rest. And really that's going to take care of your performance in the gym. So really make sure that your sleep is dialed in. A couple of tips for great sleep is to sleep in a cold room, turn off all the lights. Turn off all the lights in your fucking room. Like don't even have like the tiniest light. Turn it off. Sleeping naked can help, definitely. It's good for the testes as well. Taking melatonin. I take melatonin 5 to 10 milligrams every night. Helps you get deep sleep because you really want quality and quantity when it comes to sleep. So that's really as far as it goes for your sleep. Those are the best tips. Sleep in a pitch black room, sleep naked, and make sure it's not too warm. Make sure you're sleeping in a cold room. So that's really it for this video, guys. Lean bulking is very, very, very simple. Lean bulking, I don't really like that fucking term. Because too many people think of lean bulking and thinking that they're gonna stay shredded throughout their entire bulking process, which is just not the case. Accept some fat gain and really prioritize those principles I just talked to you about. And then you're gonna pack on a ton of muscle and strength. So really, if you prioritize that, you're gonna be good to go. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. Hop on my newsletter if you want to, never miss out on new updates with Polarity Fitness. If you guys want to check out my blog, I got a ton of content there, and I shall talk to you soon. Peace.